Notts County Talk, we are live. It is the February edition of the monthly meetup, even though it's in March. And we are going to include yesterday's games, which obviously happened on the 1st of March. But it's the review of everything that's happened in February. As you can see, some new faces on the monthly meetup. We've had some fantastic guests over the last few months. We've got Danny representing Salford, you will have seen on the channel before. We've got Simon representing Walsall, who you will have seen on the channel before. And we've got Sam representing Bradford, who is probably buzzing at the minute with how they're doing. He is on his way very, very shortly. If you've got any questions for any of us or in general about League Two, who we think is going to, stay up, who we think is going to go down, let us know. Put it in the chat. We've already got a question from Charlie. And if you enjoy anything from any of my guests this evening, please do go and support them in the comment section of the video because their links are all there. Ooh, we've had a brief chat, guys, before this, but we'll start off with you, Danny. Late heartbreak against Bradford yesterday.
Can I say robbery? Am I allowed to say that?
You can do. You can.
Yeah, even Bradford fans, of which there were quite a lot throughout our stadium, because they sold out their allocation and aspects of our other stands. Any I spoke to, even Bradford fans, said it should have been a 1-1 draw. I don't think we quite deserved to win, but I don't think they definitely didn't deserve to win. And they weren't quite as good once we'd scored against them as they'd looked in recent games. So, yeah, a little bit of their ego was punctured a bit by that goal, I believe.
And Simon, Seb's been on here before. If I think back to November, Seb said, I don't think we can carry it on. I think back to January, Seb was kind of saying, I don't really know where that run came from. We missed out December's show, so he went straight from November to January and he was buzzing. Yeah. And then I said, do you think that's it? And he kind of alluded to it would take a massive collapse. You did lose yesterday, home to Swindon. You did draw in the week. Are you still confident?
I think we'll get top 3. I'm not so confident about winning the league.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed quickly, haven't they? A 15-point gap to Bradford has now decreased to 4 points. But you've got teams like Notts throwing things away at Fleetwood, which is very, very handy, isn't it? Wimbledon losing. If Wimbledon can't win 1-0, I feel like they don't win.
Wimbledon. That was a surprise defeat, Wimbledon.
It was probably a decent side, but it was a bit of a surprising defeat.
Port Vale as well. Port Vale.
Yes, who were that? They were at Tranmere, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a draw with Tranmere. One apiece, wasn't it? Tranmere.
We played Tranmere on last weekend, and we only won 2-1. And genuinely, we should have been 3 down at half time. I think we were lucky they still had Adkins in charge because I knew as soon as there was a managerial change, something might happen. So, it was a benefit to us, all of us really, that it happened before the Port Vale game and caused them to drop a few points. They've still got a game in hand over all of us, I think. But, it's good. And, you're never going to get every side dropping points, but we need a few to drop points to help Notts out in particular.
Just on Port Vale, if I could, Tom, we played them, I think, last weekend. I've got a terrible memory. Not this weekend, last weekend. And I'm not too familiar with their squad, but I did hear that they had a lot of injuries or a lot of players unavailable. So maybe that kind of takes a bit of the shine off them, because I think at full strength, they're probably a really, really good squad. But I think they had quite a few players out against us a week ago.
Yeah. We played Port Vale a Thursday night because of Sky. And we should have been out of sight by half time against Port Vale, and we ended up losing the game through a cross that everyone in the away end thought was flying out. Our centre-back and goalkeeper left it, and then Ronan Curtis chested it down and put it in, and that place went mad. Chris has said, watch most of the Bromley v Bradford game. Bradford were lucky to win that game. I'd be surprised if they can keep up their current run of form. What I would say, Chris, is they have Accrington, Tranmere and Gillingham coming up, and they are not the most difficult fixtures, if I'm being honest. Accrington are probably the worst team I've seen come to Meadow Lane.
They've got a tough April, haven't they, Bradford? They've got an easy run now, but I think they've got a tough April.
Yes, we travelled to Bradford on Good Friday.
Yeah, I think that there's a possibility they might sort of catch Walsall and take the top spot. And then if we have a good end of March against the big 3 games we've got, if we get through that, then we might get back to the top spot.
Yeah, well, Bradford's final, Simon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bradford's last 7. In there, they have to go to Port Vale, they have to play Crewe at home, they have to play Notts at home, go to Chesterfield, go to Doncaster as well. It's not easy.
Tough. That is tough.
It's really, really tough. But getting the points on the board, I did say on my vlog yesterday, because I was sat in a pub in Fleetwood waiting for the scores to come in. I saw 8 minutes at a time in the Port Vale game and thought, I know what's coming here. And I saw Bradford had equalised and thought, I know what's coming here. Luckily, both teams didn't get the win. But I said on my vlog, you know, the teams that get promoted, they do that away at Salford. They'll nick something when they don't deserve it. Whereas
Totally.
we played Fleetwood and we don't nick it when we deserve it. I mean, we miss 4 or 5 sitters, and it's costing us. We're the second highest scorers in the league, behind Walsall, but we've missed something like 20 big chances if you're going off stats, more than Walsall. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. We'll kick off the show then, and we'll chat about something that doesn't really affect any of our teams because they're so far down the table, and I'm loving it. But MK Dons, Scott Lindsay has been sacked. Did either of you see that coming, or did you think he might get the rest of the season and then be able to build in pre-season?
Do you want to take that, Simon? Because I know you're not here for as long tonight, so you can go first.
No. When in both games, I think Walsall beat MK Dons 4-2 recently in January, just after Nathan Lowe had gone. But I thought MK Dons were a great team. They passed the ball around really well. They've got some great quality. They just don't try and score. That's what it seems like. And I keep thinking, MK Dons are going to really sort of get going and start coming. And every time I see they've lost again, I just can't believe they keep losing. I can't believe they keep losing. And I think, so with that respect, yeah, maybe it is a time to change. If the owners think that it's not getting any better, which on their results it's not, then it's maybe a good time to change now, so a new guy can get used to the players and assess whether he wants them for next season, because they're not going to go down. So, and everything else is missing. So maybe they just didn't see Scott Lindsay doing the right things to turn it round.
Tony, what do you reckon to it?
I'm just going to give you. It's not anything that I'm putting any weight behind, but I did hear a little rumor that Cal Robinson might be going his way back there. If you can imagine that craziness. Somebody said they met him on Newport Pagnell Station, and he said he's coming back. Oh yeah, okay, right, fair enough. But anyway, in terms of MK Dons pre-season, I mean, I've been on enough like Gab Sutton related podcasts and stuff and things. For it felt like before this season started that it was unnecessary to play the campaign to just annoy MK Dons as the promoted team, the team who are going to win the league. Because I actually agreed that the manager, the perception of the manager at the time, I still think he's a very good manager, although he seems to have failed twice very quickly. Williamson, I still rate him. I still think he's going to end up doing what I expected him to do after what he built at Gateshead. The results, I was surprised he'd slipped as much as they had. We've beaten them twice. Both occasions, I thought MK Dons, like Simon said, have played well. But they don't seem to be able to do anything in the final third. So the fact I've not paid too much attention under Lindsay himself, but there seems to be problems of who they're appointing and is the project working rather than anything else. I think the decision makers are getting something wrong, not just the coaches.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give my thoughts. It's like, Sam, great to have you on. Some technical issues, but it's all good. You're all sorted. We're just chatting about Scott Lindsay. We'll chat about Bradford in a second. I already said you must be buzzing with how things are going at the minute. But what are your thoughts on the Scott Lindsay sacking? Did you think he would get the summer to sort things out, or did you expect it?
I think the writing was on the wall. I'm surprised that they've gone with that because Scott Lindsay spoke a lot about building the project. But you look at the form they've been on, the second worst form over the last 15 games, just 2 wins in that time. I don't think you can really have many complaints, and it's not like the underlying numbers are there. It's all well and good having 67% of the ball, but when you're at home and you're not even have a shot on target against, while they've been in decent form, a mid-table Colchester side, when they came to Valley Parade last Saturday, it was just more of the same, just passing the ball sideways and defensively all over the place, massively unorganised, and they just didn't really seem like they were playing for each other. So I think sacking him was the right call, but I was maybe surprised that they've actually done it after already losing Williamson earlier on in the season when he probably was going to be sacked before he jumped ship as well.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine coming into March saying they're not going to go down, like Simon said, but they are closer to the relegation zone than even the playoffs, not the top 3, the playoffs. their season is completely finished in March, and it's been finished for a few weeks. If they went and won every game, I think they would probably scrape playoffs, maybe. But I mean, it's incredible. When they went and took Dan Crowley from us, you're thinking, okay, now they're going to kickstart. They've got Dan Crowley, great player. They've got, I mean, their lineup. I mean, some of the players they've got in there, it baffles me. Does it concern any of you three that if one of our sides don't go up this season, that's kind of one automatic place taken next season with MK Dons, because surely they're going to invest even more? Or do you think it could happen the same as this season for them?
I'll just say that Salford aren't going up. So I'm just going to put that right out there. So we might be somewhere near the playoffs or whatever, but there's too many injuries. There's too many players who are going to take weeks and weeks to come back to match fitness, like Osama Ashley, the best defensive midfielder in my book in this league, bar none. That until players like him come back, then I think Salford are out of the mix. I do agree, though, as you said, it's like the sleeping giant. When the bird wakes up, then there's going to be a problem. When somebody gets that right, and the right players are bought in, because I'll just mention one player they took off us, or they did buy him, actually. It was Callum Hendry. I could never quite understand what they wanted. He's a very good technical link-up striker, but he's actually one of those players in a counter-attack who's absolutely bloody useless because he's slow. And I understand they're a possession-based team and they're probably trying to get runners off him. But I always just saw, when we had a strike force of him and Matt Smith, we could never counter-attack in a team. And when you eliminate the possibility of scoring in transition in the counter-attack, you actually reduce your chances of scoring by a lot, because transition is when the most opportunities of space are. I just found it baffling to be a team who's supposed to be winning our league, obviously they're not, was actually trying to take a player like him off Salford, who were a team who was struggling. And he didn't do that well with us, in my opinion.
What do you, Sam, are you concerned that, personally, I think you're going up, so I think you'll be all right. But are you concerned?
I think so. Eventually, big investment does make the difference. So yeah, MK. The thing is, it's such an embarrassment for MK, isn't it? Because it's such a small fan base in such a superb stadium. It's like a championship/Premier stadium. And just to have so few people in there, it works against them, I think. But yeah, ultimately, the money will probably make a difference with them. I think perhaps Chesterfield are probably a team that will really be sort of chomping at it next season.
Yeah.
That's one that's going to, I think, similar to yourselves last season, your defence was sort of struggling. You've sort of got that together more, and you're up there. And I think Chesterfield, are probably the team that are going to do that next season.
Yeah, I think Chesterfield were favourites with the bookies at the start of the season for some reason to go up. But they've found, as we found, like you say, Simon, the transition's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Sam, you concerned, or do you think you're going up?
Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be something that we need to worry about. But I thought at the start of this season, MK were already going to go on and win the title, and I didn't think we'd have to really worry about that. Then when they brought in Scott Lindsay, I doubled down on that, and it just seemed to get worse for them. Eventually, if you invest so much money, then you must get things right. But I just think they need a manager.
Man United. Can I just throw that in there? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to be quiet.
I forgot what I'm going to say now.
Sorry, Sam.
No,
I didn't mean to take you off your stride.
Double down on Scott Lindsay.
Oh, yeah. And I just think they need to get a manager in who's going to build a team, because when we played against MK Dons, it just felt like they had 11 players and they weren't really playing for each other. It seemed like they were kind of waiting for one of the other players to make a mistake so they could have a go at them rather than trying to help them to win the ball back. Whereas you look at the teams that have been successful so far this season, they're all playing together and they're all playing as one. And you could have a player who's not been in a match day squad for 10 games and then they're suddenly needed to start and they're trusted by the rest of their teammates. And I just don't really see that MK Dons. Maybe they've signed some good players, but they've also brought in big egos there as well. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in as manager. I think that would certainly maybe make my mind up, but hopefully it's not something that I have to think about come the summer.
Here's my thought very quickly, because I know, Simon, you've got to get off. I would not put it past Luke Williams going to MK. Not I mean, he could go higher up. He's been at Swansea in the Championship, but I know a lot of Notts fans also think Williams might turn up there because it's a project, isn't it? Dan Crowley went for the project, and that's not turned out that good, has it? But there we go. Simon, you've got to leave us. But really appreciate you being on.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Simon. Thanks a lot. Check out Simon's link in the description below. Go and check out his channel, especially with the season as it is. They are being caught up by Bradford, aren't they? Before you were in here, Sam, I said in my vlog, winning away at Salford with a last-minute goal when you've not, maybe don't deserve the win, as Danny thinks, and some people in the chat think, is what promoted teams do, isn't it? You've got to be, because Bradford are a big club for this division, and it's been a long time. Surely the results went for yesterday. Walsall last week couldn't beat Fleetwood. Port Vale drew. It's all coming together.
I think our remaining 12 games have got to be played in like 2 blocks, really, because our March sort of running is on paper a little bit more favourable than our April run. And I think in April we've got Doncaster, Notts, Port Vale, Chesterfield and Crewe as well. So it's going to be a pretty tough running for us. But if we want to be a League One team next season, and we actually want to be successful in League One, then we've got to be able to beat League Two teams now. And I think we gave a brilliant account of ourselves against Birmingham the other week to show that we're clearly capable of doing that. We just need to get up there. But 12 games is a long time in football. We're only less than 12 games ago where we were 17 points away from Walsall. We're now within only 4 points of them. So it could just go the complete opposite way again, and they end up finishing 17 points above us. But it's 12 cup finals to go. We've just got to remain level-headed, remain consistent. I think we've got a very good manager in Graham Alexander. The injuries are starting to pile up now a little bit. We've obviously been in without Andy Cook since January for the rest of the season. Alex Patterson missed Saturday, which in the end didn't turn out to be a loss, but with Sarsfield then also going off after 25 minutes, that's 3 of his best players there that are all going to be missing now, which is a big blow for us. So it's now up to some other players to step up and take their chance.
6 wins from 12 would take you to 81. 81. Throw a couple of draws in there. I don't think there's been any side in the past sort of 7-8 years with 8. There's been one side with 80 points that didn't go up. You could give yourself a cushion. It's interesting. Danny, are you pretty adamant that Salford aren't going up? Would you think you could even have a push for the playoffs?
How long am I going to give Dedo? I tend to be quite critical, but I just honestly think it's chewing gum and string that's holding the whole thing together. I think Cal Robinson's a good motivator. I think the players want to play for him. The spirit in the squad, despite the fact we conceded a late goal yesterday, that happens. I mean, was it that Tayo lad who kind of beat about 3 of our players on the edge of the area, Sam? Was it? I mean, I heard he was a world beater from the fans I know were Bradford fans. That I think he's on loan from Crystal Palace. I watched the first half of Bradford against Bromley, and I was like, these are playing at a high tempo. These are playing like the hair's on fire, these boys, especially what's he called, Halliday. I just thought, what is going on? Because for me, Bradford are always, in my mind, the vision of them is always just big lumpers, and quite slow and methodical, a bit Richie Smallwood-ish. You know what I mean? That's kind of a bit of a Bradford template for me. But the type of players you were using and the creativity you had up front and the passing tempo was just great. So I did mention before you joined the call, Sam, that I felt there was a bit of a, once you got a punch on the chin with our goal, I thought your tempo slowed, like you were a little bit, also it coincided with kind of the substitution for Sarcevic. So it's kind of 2 things at once. And you did lack for creativity without, because Pattinson wasn't playing and obviously Sarcevic got substituted. But so I was a little bit, are these quite as rock solid without these 2 players and when they get scored against? Because you've been on such a good run, you probably have scored first in a lot of games and you just ran away with it. I don't know.
Well, we won a lot of games 1-0. It's been our defensive record that's been so good for us. So I think from our point of view, the goal we conceded yesterday was just quite weak, really. It's not like there's anything really too stand out. We just kind of seemed to switch off a bit. But to be fair, it was a great finish right into the top corner. But defensively, recently we have been very good. I think we've kept 8 or 9 clean sheets, only conceded like 3 goals in his last 10 games or something like that. So our defence is certainly really massively improved, which I think has coincided with Paul Huntington coming in. Jack Shepherd's really stepped up as well, because at the start of the season, we were guaranteed to concede pretty much every game. So I think we've now got the second best defence in the league across the full season, which to where we were even 10, 15 games ago, it's absolutely incredible the way we've managed to turn it around.
Yeah. From a Notts County perspective, I was thinking of this earlier, and I've already spoken about Dan Crowley. If you were to say to me a few months ago, or even at the start of the season, you won't have Aidan Baldwin or Dan Crowley, and in March, the team one of the teams will be 4 points off top, and one of the teams' season will be dead. There's no way I'd have said it's the team with Aidan Baldwin in, and you know what my feelings are about him as a player. But he's playing incredibly well, isn't he? Your fans seem to love him.
Yeah, recently he's been absolutely outstanding. Like when obviously we signed him and we saw the reviews we were getting from Notts County fans, and then I wouldn't say he had an amazing start to the season. You obviously see them clips of when Notts were playing against Shrewsbury in the cup last season, and you're thinking, "Good God, what have we signed here?" But recently he's been absolutely incredible. We've chopped and changed largely in our back three, but Bolden has been absolutely important, so important to when we've played. I think he's played pretty much every game since we've gone on this very good run. So it goes to show that all it took was a couple of tweaks around him, and he's played on the right side, he's played in the middle. His passing range when he played one game in the middle against MK Dons was absolutely incredible. Some of the passes were like proper, like championship standard midfielder sort of passes. They were absolutely unbelievable, and he's not really making many mistakes. We gave the penalty away against Barrow on New Year's Day, but apart from that, I've not really got many complaints to say about him. He's been absolutely brilliant recently.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some stats from him as well. We've talked about the top, and there's a question here from Charlie that's asking who we think our top three will be. We'll leave that. We'll come back to that. I'll give you a bit of time to think about it, and we'll go and talk about the bottom of the table. Mark Hughes has come in since our last show at Carlisle. Got rid of Mike Williamson, who just for me seemed just uninspiring in all the interviews. It didn't work, and I kind of wrote Carlisle off. For me, it's between Carlisle, Morecambe, Tranmere, and probably Accrington. I think Harrogate 10 points clear have got enough. Could any of you, not confidently because there are, like you say, 12 games left, but have you got any inkling of who you think are the two to go down?
Just out of interest, so could Harrogate get dragged down into it? Because I've been so unimpressed with them this season. Are they somewhere near this?
They are 10 points with probably a goal difference of +7 better than the other two.
Okay, it's just I just find them. You mentioned, I think, uninspiring before in another sense. So I actually classed them. We played them in Accrington in quite a short window over Christmas, and I found both of them just identically poor, really. So I'm surprised they're not a little bit lower. So who are the bottom two at the minute? It's Carlisle. Is it Carlisle and Morecambe? Did you say?
Both sat on 26. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I had a look at. It seems that Carlisle have stopped conceding as many goals now, haven't they? They seem to have sorted that out a little bit since Hughes has gone in. So I don't particularly rate Mark Hughes. I'm sure Sam has much more of an opinion on Mark because he actually managed his team for a while. But I think he is a very conservative manager. He seems to play quite cautiously, even when he has teams that are capable of more than that. But I'll give that one back to Sam, to be honest, to talk about Mark Hughes and Carlisle. But I think them two are probably the ones I would say possibly at the minute. Maybe Accrington, possibly.
Well, just before Sam talks there, you say conservative. They've scored 1 in their last 3 games, but they haven't conceded in the last 3. So they've picked up 5 from 9, if that's the way they're going to do it. But yeah, Mark Hughes, thoughts on him?
Well, the best thing that he could do for Bradford City would be to beat Walsall on Tuesday. That'd be pretty nice for him. But the squad that we had in the season where we got to the playoffs, his only full season as Bradford City manager, it should have done so much better than finishing 6th and having to scrape a playoff spot on the final day. Cook scored 31 goals that season. We had people like Scott Banks in there. We had an unbelievable team. And the amount of times where we'd go 1 goal up or we'd go like 2-1 up, for example, and then we'd just sit back. And it happened about 5 or 6 times in that season where we concede after the 90th minute. And it was so frustrating. We played Crewe away really near the end of that season. It might have been 2nd or 3rd last game. They went 2-0 up. Out came the second half, and we actually went for it and attacked them, and they couldn't deal with us. We pulled it back to 2-2, and then we went conservative again. Eventually ended up conceding a penalty in like the 101st minute, and I think that just summed up Mark Hughes in the playoffs as well. Obviously, we went into the second leg 1-0 up. They then turned it around. It was 2-1 going into extra time, and We then equalised to make it 2-2 on aggregate, and then they brought Mike Hughes brought off Scott Banks, our most creative and attacking player, for Matty Platt, obviously a centre half, and we just tried to play for penalties. 5 minutes later, they then scored, and we had 38-year-old Matt Derbyshire then up front. And you're thinking, well, we've got absolutely no chance of getting back into this game. So I think he is definitely a very conservative manager. I think he's obviously got in there and made them a lot more solid defensively, but I still really do struggle to see where their goals are going to come from. They always seem to beat Barrow, so I don't think that's too much to look into. Obviously, they're going to be feeling very up after that. With Tranmere not winning in their last 5, Morecambe only 1 win in their last 5. It certainly feels like Carlisle are the form team, but even they've only picked up 5 points out of their last possible 15. But I really do think that it's not going to take that many points to survive. These teams might only need 3 more wins to stay up there, because I think all 3 of them are absolutely terrible for this level.
If Harrogate are to be dragged in, Danny, last game of the season, Morecambe at home to Harrogate, could be an interesting one. Could be very interesting.
Let me just say one thing, though. The reason I would miss Harrogate, and I really don't want them to go down, best pie and peas you're going to get anywhere in League Two. But when you go there as an away fan, absolutely incredible fur they have on site. So I've missed him for that reason alone. It was New Year's Day we went, so it was brilliant to warm us up. Great.
We're there on the second to last game of the season, which will be good. John here says, I think Tranmere will go down. They can build, but can't hit a barn door when shooting. Yeah, the build-up play. I mean, I've already mentioned it again before Sam was here. We should have been 3 down at half-time to Tranmere. I think they got rid of Adkins at the right time. I don't know why they didn't do it earlier, if I'm honest with you. But I've just had a look at their fixtures. They're 3 points above that, 3 points above the drop zone. They've only scored 24 in 34 games. Carlisle have a game in hand over them, but they've also scored 24. They've got the worst defence in the division, Tranmere, albeit, I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's not many goals in this division this year. Tranmere with the worst defence have only conceded 53, which doesn't seem drastically bad to me for a side down there. But I just look at Tranmere's fixtures. They go to Grimsby next, Bromley at home. Well, we've just seen what Bromley can do to Wimbledon. Bradford away, Fleetwood. I saw what Fleetwood were like against us the other day. They've still got to play Cheltenham, Chesterfield, who are a funny team, Doncaster and Crewe. I think Tranmere could be in massive, massive trouble as well, personally. I'm going to put it out here. I think Carlisle stay up and Morecambe and Tranmere are going to be the 2 to go down. I think that's what I'm going to go for.
I just add one thing, if I could, Tom, on Tranmere. It's just reminded me a little bit of maybe the timing of the new managerial appointment. That I seem to remember that Sunderland, many decades ago even, actually twice in 2 seasons, they had the appointed Paolo Di Canio 1 year, very late on. He was a bit of a case, but he I think got them to stay up. And they did the same with Gus Poyet 1 year. So these quick shifts, I mean, it's not Sam Allardyce who's coming. It's not kind of an emergency fixer like that, but it can, allied with a dead cat bounce, it can just work. So I'm kind of leaning that they're going to be keeping the nose clean, but who knows?
Yeah, you're right. I'm just looking at the table as well. One side that we were so wrong about 3 months ago, we all said there's no way that Holloway keeps Swindon up. They're flying. They won away at Walsall, and they're 44 points. I mean, they're not going to mount a playoff push, but their recent form, I mean, beating Chesterfield and Walsall without even conceding a goal, they're just, I've got to say, I'll say when I'm right and I'll say when I'm wrong. I've got that really, really wrong. I don't see him being manager next year. Do you two? I just think...
I think he's done a good job to steer them away from relegation, but I can't see him consistently building for a promotion challenge, which I think is what they'll be looking for to get in the playoffs next season. I can't see him maintaining that, especially when he can do them weird sort of interviews. If they go on a bad run next season where they lose 4 or 5 on the bounce and he's coming out with his bizarre quotes, I think he could maybe lose the fan base then.
What he's done, he's taken a lot of the sort of focus away from the players, though, hasn't he? He's just been spouting. I mean, I was listening to Talk Sport a couple of months ago, and he's eating my breakfast, and he's talking about ghosts and things like that. Like, fair play to him. Fair play.
I'll give him a bit of credit though, because I believe this is correct. That I think he was in charge when one of the players that Swindon, that Holloway didn't want to keep at Swindon, he was still under contract, and you would think, well, we've got to buy him. Then they actually seemed to give him away to us. He's either Rameur or Rosa Longilo, some kind of wing back hybrid who can play the right or left side. And what it says to me is that Holloway's come in and realised what he doesn't want. So that tells me he knows what he actually wants. So I think he's identified, like Carl Robinson did when he came to Salford, what type of style and what type of players are going to work. And everyone else is just frozen out. To the point where they've given someone away who's still had a year on his contract. So I think that can work, because at least if he knows what he wants, he's got a chance.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. And then let's go back up to the top. Let's go to this question from Charlie. Hello, lads. What's everyone's current top 3 predictions? And Charlie has Bradford to win the league, Walsall and Notts. And I know Charlie from the channel is a Notts fan. Who wants to kick off with this? Because I think it is between 5, maybe 6 teams. I think there's still 6 teams that could do it. I think it's difficult, though. Difficult choice to make. Sam, do you want to start off with this?
Go on, Sam.
Put your neck in. Who's winning?
It's so hard to say, because it seems to change after every game. But I think now that we're building up our away form, that was my only slight concern. We were excellent at home, best home team in the division, but it was the away form that was really concerning me. Now we seem to have sorted that out. You know, Bromley away on a Tuesday night with the run of form they've been on to beat them was brilliant. Obviously, the manner of how we beat Salford as well. I think I don't want to say that we're going to get promoted and then it doesn't happen. I look very silly, but I'm going to say that we're going to get promoted because it will happen. I think Doncaster as well, even though they don't normally play very well, they play very well against Newport, but they don't normally play very well. They've got that firepower at the top end of the pitch. You know, Luke Molyneux, one of the best players in the division. Rob Street started scoring goals. Joe Ironside. I think they just win football matches. They've got a very good manager in Grant McCann. I think Walsall are too inconsistent. Yes, they got back-to-back wins, but it were against a very weird Chesterfield team and then Morecambe as well. So I don't really look into that too much. I think it's only 2 wins in 9 for them. So I actually don't think Walsall will go up in the top 3. So I'll go Bradford, Doncaster, and Notts County.
That's a massive shout to say Walsall won't get there.
That is crazy.
That is a big shout. Go on, Danny.
No, and I say crazy. I don't mean that like that. That's nobody knows. You know, it's like it's an opinion, isn't it? But I think it's. But I do actually, funnily enough, I sense that like precipitous drop from them. I do feel like it's that Walsall are just like a stone where it just seems to have fallen away. I'm going to say they are in that top 3. I am going to say that Bradford are in that top 3, as much as it pains me to not be able to meet up with my Bradford pals when I go to them or they come to us, like they did on Saturday. And the other team that I just feel that they seem to have, apart from Walsall, probably have been around the top more consistently than anyone else, because Salford was second at once, if you remember. At one point, before we played City and they destroyed us, we were about second.
Went on a crazy run.
Yeah. So, but to me, I'm going to put Doncaster in, because I think Doncaster are the, what's it called? The tortoise and the hare. They're the tortoise. They're the ones that have just plugged away. Like Sam said, they know what winning football is, and they have a consistency about them that I think other teams lack. So I'm going to go with Walsall, Bradford, and Doncaster, probably in that order.
Yeah. So you think Walsall still win that league? I'm going to go Bradford. I think, like you say, Sam, split the rest of the games up into 2 sort of 2 sets of games. I think I think you could, if it is played right, and obviously football's all could this, could that. I think you could be sitting in a fantastic position after the next certainly 4 or 5 games. I go Bradford to win it. I think Walsall will just limp over the line. I actually wasn't that impressed with them for 1.5 of the 2 games we played, and then they destroyed the second half at Meadow Lane. Again, we should have been 3 or 4 up. Don't get me started on us not taking chances, but I think they're going to limp over the line. And then third, I'm going to put Notts in there, because we are so close to having, for the first time this season, our full strength side back. Jody Jones came back on against Fleetwood and instantly 2 players marking him, which left Whittaker, who we've just signed from Everton, open. I think we have some. I think on paper, and this isn't biased, I think we definitely have one of the top 2 sides on paper in the division. But we've not been able to do that. We've not been able to consistently put a side out. So I'm going to put us in that 3rd place position. But I'm going to say, and this would give me a heart attack, I think it'll go down to the last day when we host Doncaster at Meadow Lane. Hopefully we go into that game, you know, if it does come down to that and a draw would be enough. If we have to beat Doncaster at Middle Lane in the final day, it'll be very, very tricky. Then I look at the playoffs, and I really do only think one side can upset the playoffs now, and it's Grimsby. I don't think anyone else is going to make a dart into there. Bromley have been impressive, but they don't have enough. Salford, as you say, you think there's too many injuries, Danny. Yep. Colchester, Cheltenham, they're too far back for me. So I think if one side is going to come in, it would be Crewe slipping out and Grimsby going in. But Grimsby just seem to win or lose, don't they? They don't really do draws. I'll go first. If I was to put a side going up through the playoffs from the teams I have remaining, I wouldn't like to play Wimbledon over 2 legs. But I think if it went to a playoffs, I think Port Vale would turn it on and would win the playoffs, personally. I just feel like Port Vale are a side that will just do that. So
I do rate Wimbledon. If we just go in for one, I've just, again, this steady horse thing I keep talking about, that something about Wimbledon that is difficult not to beat necessarily, but it's difficult to dominate them. And yeah, I rate them. I think they've got a good thing there. They know what they're doing. I think it's a good project. So I'm going to probably go with Wimbledon on that. I think maybe.
Yeah, over 2 legs, that'd be a nightmare to play against. Yeah. Who would you have up through the playoffs, Sam? And do you agree with me that the only side that's really going to enter that is Grimsby, or do you think it's already the 4 that's in there?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I think it depends on if Crewe can maintain this consistency. When Dimitri got injured, they went on that horrendous run, but recently they started to turn it back around a little bit. But Grimsby's form is frightening, and the gap is only 3 points with a game in hand. I know they've got a better goal difference to Crewe, but I'd be certainly nervously looking over my shoulders. I wouldn't want to play any of them teams over 2 legs, to be honest with you. I think there's an argument that all of them are very, very strong at home, and then it's about, can you then do it on your own patch? And I think it would certainly make for some very entertaining games, but I certainly wouldn't want to play Wimbledon over 2 legs. I'd probably back them. I just think they've got that experience, that now so they can get the referee on side and they can make it ugly, but they win football matches. And I know they've not been on a great run of form over the last 3 games, just 2 points in that time, but I do think they are just a good side. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, we go to Wimbledon on Saturday. Barrow on Tuesday at home, Wimbledon on Saturday. I think from a Notts perspective, it could look very different if we don't pick up a win in those 2 games, or you could go and win those 2 games. I think it could be defining, because then we'll be left with 11 games left because we've got a game in hand. There's a couple of questions that have come in. So this is a hard one to do, but Colin said, apart from your own teams, which team do you guys want to win the league? Well, I would have said Walsall, but the Walsall admin clipped our vlog and had a bit of a go at us, and now they're falling down the table. So, I'm just waiting for them to fall out. And if Sam's correct, there's definitely going to be a reaction video coming for that. So not Walsall. I'd probably say Bradford or Donny for me. I wouldn't mind. I mean, you could look at it in the other sense of who do you want out of the division? And I might then say Port Vale, but I don't know. It's a hard question from Colin. Bradford or Doncaster. Who would you have, Danny? Maybe it's the same as me. Who do you want out of the division for next year?
Only for personal reasons, because I have friends in the Bradford fan base who I want to see again regularly, which is easier when you're playing against them. Doncaster, I won't miss them. Although that was a good pie. That was a very, very good pie. Really good. So yeah, Doncaster I won't miss as much.
Is there any bad pies? What's the worst pie you've had?
Oh, that's an interesting one. The ones at Salford aren't that great. I've got to be honest. They're not hot enough. Even like a chicken balti, which is pretty standard across most grounds now. I've realised across the nation that they're just not warm enough. Because the reason why you want a pie, you want your insides to be warmed. So the thing you're eating has to be warm enough. It's not cold. It's just not hot enough. So yeah, I'm going to actually vote for our catering, unfortunately.
And Sam, who would you like to win the league?
I would probably say Notts, just because I think you play the best football. I think it's just very nice to watch. And, the 3 times that we've played you since you've come back into the Football League, you've absolutely torn us apart in every one of them games. So I would say if there's to be any side that deserves it, I would say I've been the most impressed with Notts. So I'll say you guys.
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to Ben, Fleetwood fan, who's been on before. We know Ben. He thinks we're actually more suited to League One with our style than League Two, and I kind of would tend to agree with that. I've got one final question, and I'm trying to find it here, but it has been put in the chat. And I can't remember who put it in the chat, which is annoying. So if it's your question, just pop a message in that we've read it out. It said that any side that goes up from the current top 7-8 has to invest massively to have any chance in League One. Do you agree with that? There's some massive teams in League One, really good sides. I don't know.
Is the question though to invest to survive or to invest to actually do something in League One? That's all I'd wonder.
What if it was to survive? I don't think there's massive investment. I don't know.
I think we'd stay up in League One with our current squad. I think we need improvements, we need additions, but based on the performance that we put in against Birmingham, we beat Mansfield 3-0, beat Rotherham, we beat Stockport 3-2. I think we'd be pretty comfortable in mid-table with this current squad.
Yeah, I think we keep some key players if we were to go up. I think that would mean we'd probably keep Jody Jones. I think Tottenham would probably say keep George Abbott for another season. He's developing well at you, unless they want him to go into the Championship. I mean, he's an absolutely unbelievable footballer. You've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the goals he scored recently, volleys from corners, and what a player. Assist and a goal yesterday. I think we keep some players. I think players like Jacob Bedu for us and Matty Platt, I think, would be decent at League One level. Alex Bass would be decent as well. I think would be okay, but I think we would need to strengthen the squad, not necessarily the starting 11 too much. What are your thoughts on that, Danny, about investment to survive or to kick on?
I think personally, I think you both have covered that really well. So I'm gonna defer to what you both said. But I do think there's a kiss of death to going up. If you look at some of the teams that have gone up, I mean, Forest Green went up, didn't they? Where have they gone? Carlisle went up. What's happened there? So I think the timing of when you actually get promoted is very, very crucial, because if you look at Salford were in an overachieving season under Neil Wood 2 seasons ago. We were on the semi-final of the playoffs, and it was a very, very late, switch of fate that we actually didn't get to the final. So that would have been a disaster for us, though, because we weren't ready. We just weren't ready. I wanted us to go up because I wanted to go to Wembley and get the glory and all that. But
yeah,
I just think you need to be careful what you wish for when it comes to promotion. So that's me kind of a bit edging away from the direct question, but I think you two covered it anyway.
Dale said that was him with the question. So yeah, good question, Dale. Andrew also says, which is a good point, Mansfield went up and started well, but League One is a big step up and they are now struggling to survive. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'll be honest, I'm enjoying the Mansfield downfall. I don't know when they last won a game, but they are something like 4 or 5 points above the relegation zone, which is crazy. But then you look at the other side, don't you? You look at Wrexham and Stockport, who are doing
Mansfield have also had a lot of injuries recently, especially defensively.
Yeah, they have. But I'm enjoying it nevertheless. That wraps up the February review. We'll be back with a March review. I mean, the league will be very, very different then, and you'll be coming into some very tough games with Bradford, Sam, and Salford. You never know. You never know, Danny. Things could happen.
We know.
You're very sure, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Appreciate you two coming on massively, and also to Simon for joining us earlier. If you did enjoy any of the content, please do subscribe to the channel. We have these out every month for the remainder of the season, so a couple more episodes. Go in the description, check out Danny, obviously representing Salford, Sam representing Bradford, and Sam representing Walsall. Go and give them a subscription. Go and find them on Spotify, whatever you need to do. They are fantastic League Two content creators. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the questions you've put in, and I will see you, if you're a Notts fan, on Thursday's show.